Well, more than 1.5 million Australians are living with a food allergy. Now, that's one of the highest allergy rates in the world. From dairy, seafood and nuts, a whole range of foods can trigger a reaction.
But there are some simple food swaps that you can make without missing out. Let's bring in Weekend Sunrise nutritionist Sarah Di Lorenzo. Sarah, good morning to you.
Good morning,
to see
guys.
you.
Yes.
Food allergy week. First of all, take us to the basics. What's the difference between an allergy and intolerance?
Okay, so the difference between food allergy and intolerance is related to our digestive system. So you eat something, you feel miserable, could be related to digestive enzymes, whereas a food allergy is connected to our immune system. So the person with the allergy eats something and the body sees it as an invader, so the immune system overreacts, causing that allergic reaction, which can be anything from hives, itching, wheezing. It can also be swelling of the throat, tingling of the lips, runny nose, vomiting, nausea, and people often get them confused. And in worst case scenario, anaphylaxis, which is death. Which is why it's actually really people. I think it's 1 in 50 kids now have like a nut allergy.
Really?
But yeah, it's increasing.
It's lower than it's more than this. It seems like every
it's
second
on the
kid's got
rise.
this.
Yeah, you feel like it now too because of the precautions put in place.
And it was not around when I was a kid in the schoolyard. Like,
No.
it did not happen.
No, neither.
So
We're the same vintage.
Yeah, why?
Yeah. It's just, I think there's lots of reasons.
You're not older. They're of the next vintage. Sarah and I are young.
They link it to things like
We'll wrap this segment up now, right?
linked to things like family history, more incidence of eczema and asthma as well. So it's linked to that, yeah.
So let's talk about one of the common allergies, and that's wheat.
Wheat is very common, and it's anything that has flour in it, basically. Everything that you're seeing on the top here contains wheat, and it's the protein in wheat that people are allergic to. So what I always tell people is, for a substitute, so you're making sure you're getting carbohydrates, is lean more towards potatoes, definitely things like rice, rice-based products. Quinoa is good as a substitute, but when it comes to oats, we can't say they're wheat-free because they actually are milled where there's flour. So you can't say that even though oats are, so you have to be careful with that in Australia. So they're the swaps you make. It's all about making sure that you're getting the carbohydrate, which you're missing out on if you have that wheat allergy and these kind of foods. So yeah, it's going more natural foods is my advice.
And working down the table, others
Okay, so when it comes to nuts, so there's tree nuts as well as peanuts. So some people just have a peanut allergy, some people have only a tree nut allergy or an allergy to like pistachios, maybe cashews as well. So the swaps would be definitely looking at, instead of having peanut butter, tahini. I tell patients if you want to make it a bit sweet, put some cinnamon in there or some honey or maple syrup into the tahini. Instead of having nuts, definitely looking at seeds as another snacking option. But what people feel like they're missing out on is the plant-based proteins. So half a cup of chickpea will give you 20 grams of protein. So they're great to add to salads.
Right,
it's a lot. No, it's really high. It's up there with an animal protein. So chickpeas are great for people who do have this nut allergy, who are worried about missing out on that. Dairy.
We've got
That's the big one.
three people in our house that can't have dairy.
Yeah, so dairy's a big one. Obviously, everything here that contains dairy, it's the protein, the whey and the casein that people have issues with. When it comes to dairy, it's anything, I always say to people, anything that comes from a mammal is considered dairy because people get confused sometimes. So just the swaps would be things like going to obviously nut milks. Well, you would know a lot about this, coconut, yogurts, that kind of stuff. But people worry about, with the dairy, they worry about not getting enough calcium into the diet. So great things to, and it is a really big concern, and I speak to patients about that a lot. Great sources of calcium, just things like dates, also apricots. The bones that you find in the fish here, they're excellent source of calcium. Tofu, the leafy greens, almonds, and chia seeds. And if you have that and you make a place for these in your diet every day, then you're not missing out on that calcium.
You've got to be constantly thinking about how you're counteracting them, unable to have a whole food group of no fault of their own.
Yeah.
Okay, seafood?
Seafood, okay. Obviously, the protein in fish is what people are allergic to. And then like proteins like your meat here, like your chicken, tofu, and then the red meat as well, that's getting that, making sure you're getting enough protein. But what people get concerned about with a fish allergy is that they're not getting the good fats that you find in fatty fish. So great substitutes, and make sure you're having like a tablespoon or 2 of oil every day. The walnuts are excellent, 5 of those, and also avocados, great to put over your salad. So as you can see, there is swaps you
It's
can make.
doable.
It's
Yeah.
doable.
Yeah.
Look, a bit of prep.
Little bit of thought.
Get a meal plan in.
Yep.
Put the foods throughout the week when you're sort of doing some prep. And it's just putting this kind of thing at the forefront just to make sure that you're not missing out on those nutrients because of the
I know this
allergies.
isn't what the segments are about, but remember the sponge roll?
I've already got my eyes on 5 of those. Put mine back. That'd be great. Sarah, thank you so much for that
Thanks, guys.
valuable, great info.
Thank you.
And you can find more information over on the Sunrise website.